This week, we are marking 20 years since the start of the war in Iraq. Thousands of troops from the Tennessee National Guard served more than one tour in that war alone. Tonight, we hear from the man who commanded a unit based in Knoxville and went on overseas to oversee the entire Tennessee National Guard. Here's 10 News anchor John Becker with the story.
For Tennessee National Guard veteran retired Major General Max Haston, the war in Iraq meant adapting to an ever-changing enemy and tactics.
It was a learning experience. At first, nobody knew exactly what to expect. You had the Sunnis, which was Saddam Hussein's Ba'ath Party and the Sunnis, and then you had the Shias. And that's where the Civil War truly was. But you could not look on the street and say this person's a Sunni and this person's a Shia.
General Haston oversaw reserve units in both Iraq and Afghanistan, and the biggest threat to those troops proved to be homemade bombs, improvised explosive devices, or IEDs.
The things we had to deal with on that nature, the command detonated or the remote detonated, explosive devices, that was tough.
The Iraq War started in 2003, but peak deployments came 4 years later in 2007.
My dad did 44 years in the Guard. This is not the Guard that he served in. I mean, we've all deployed multiple times to Afghanistan, to Iraq, to Kosovo.
The Army veteran is equally proud of troops serving in the Tennessee Air National Guard, units like the 134th Air Refueling Wing based at McGee-Tyson Airport and flying missions 24/7.
We kept airplanes refueled, everywhere. I mean, constantly in the air with wounded warriors coming from Lonsdale Hospital back to, to Andrews and then over to Walter Reed and then down to Brooke Army Medical Center. 2 or 3 airplanes in the air all the time and flying. And so those guys were just absolute heroes.
The war in Iraq left a series of impressions on the seasoned soldier, and one of the bright spots was seeing free and fair elections.
As I watch elections in our country here, and we have a voter turnout that is so low, and there people walked for days and for miles, and that was a huge security threat in September of 2005 when they had the first open elections, and the people that walked and brought their families and dipped their finger in the oil well.
20 years after America ended the brutal reign of Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein, it wasn't just active duty troops shouldering the burden, but citizen soldiers of the National Guard.
We have a volunteer army. It's not a conscript army. And so everybody that was there because they wanted to be. So when you look at a guardsman, now you double down on that because now you've got a guy or girl that doesn't do it every day, but now they are. And they've left a job, they've left a civilian home to pick up arms and drop the plow and pick up the weapon.
Among the memories he has from Iraq was a particular Friday where he and other military leaders celebrated with cigars at a palace that was their command center. All smoked cigars to celebrate that no one had been killed in combat that week.